All right, let's get right into today. Drip is not with us today, so sorry about that. You got just me this week, but I'll bring you some gaming news we got this week. And last week, GTA 6 trailers came out. It was the second trailer. I believe the first trailer came out about a year ago, and the online reception for it has been absolutely insane. The game has amassed 105 million views on YouTube. And obviously everyone is super hyped about it. The graphics look absolutely incredible. There's nothing really to dislike about what we saw. It's a huge generational leap from GTA 5. If you look at the graphics of the game, obviously it's night and day, but that's to be expected though, because people are kind of forgetting that GTA 5 was 13 years ago. And actually that's about the same amount of time as Mario Kart 8 to Mario Kart World, but that's a different conversation. But GTA 6 does look incredible. Looks, really, I mean, incredible is the only way I can describe it. When I was watching this trailer, and you might be seeing some footage right now, I was seeing this trailer and thinking how realistic that game looked. It's just everything about it looked hilariously realistic. And personally, that's not really my taste. That's not my thing. I don't really like realism. Not that I don't like realism. I don't prefer the art direction to call out realism. I prefer art and art style, similar to other Nintendo franchises and games out there. That's kind of why I'm a bigger Nintendo fan these days, is that, you know, GTA 6 is exactly what I don't want in my games. It's complete and utter realism. I prefer an art style. I don't know why. I think it's really because you're able to hide more, but that's besides the point. Again, 105 million views is insane. And then they also said in the trailer that the game capture was captured on a PS5, which that's blowing my mind away. Now, I think that trailer was like 30 FPS or like maybe like 24 FPS. I think it was more cinematic frame rate, because that's what movies, you know, cinema typically is captured as 24 frames per second. And I don't know for a fact. Maybe we'll have to see. I think Digital Foundry did put out a video on it. We'll have to see what they say about the frame rate. It looked to me like it was 24 frames per second, but that could just be my eyes deceiving me. It's probably 30 FPS, but that's impressive that the PS5 and not the PS5 Pro. It said PS5, unless they were kind of fudging it, you know, that it was a PS5 Pro. But it's pretty impressive that a PS5 can make a game look that real. Now, obviously, you get to sacrifice performance. You get the high fidelity, but you're not going to get the frame rate. That's a personal preference thing. And again, who knows if even 60 FPS is on the table for GTA 6, and if it is, what's it going to look like? Obviously, the bigger news is that it's been delayed. As far as, you know, it's been delayed all the way back to next year. I think actually is it May 2026? I believe is that what it is? So quite a while for you GT fans to wait for that. But the reason we're talking about here on this channel today, because we're of course a Nintendo focused channel, is that at the end of the trailer they announced that obviously the game's coming out for PS5. No shocker there, as we're game captured on it, and Xbox Series X and S. It said there right in the trailer X and S, but guess what it didn't say? Nintendo Switch 2. That's kind of a head scratcher for me. I'm not really sure why that game's not coming out for Switch 2. Now, I did just make a tweet last night. I wish I pulled it up, but basically what I had said was and we talked about this in the past. There's a lot of difficulty trying to pinpoint where the Switch 2's performance is, because it's got, if you look at this list of consoles, the Steam Deck, PS4, PS4 Pro, and Xbox Series S, it has traits that are better and worse than all of those. Like, we like to think that it's better than a Steam Deck entirely, than a PS4 entirely, than a PS4 Pro entirely, and a Xbox Series S mostly. I don't think any of us think it's entirely better than that, but it's at least, I thought some of us thought it was going to be on par with that. And in some cases it is. And in some cases the Switch 2 is better than a Series S. In fact, it's better than all those consoles on that list, but also even the PS4. It struggles. The Switch 2 struggles in certain points, mainly like in power usage, because obviously you can't compete with a plug-in home console, because even when you're docked, it's still not going to pull as much power because you have other things to consider. It's not a batteryless home plug-in wall console. So there's sacrifices to be made in every direction. And last week when we watched Geeker1's video, which is going to come up later in the video, Geeker1 talked about how the Steam Deck has a better CPU than the Switch 2 it looks like by a long shot, if that's the right one. So, and that's not what we expected. We expected the Switch 2 to be raw power better than the Steam Deck, and obviously be enhanced past that, which in most cases it is. And I think in GPU, the Switch 2 is much better than the Steam Deck. But again, the CPU, the Steam Deck seems to be better. So it's just really difficult. I mean, like, it's really difficult to pinpoint where the Switch 2 falls in the, modern console landscapes, where it is. We all thought it was at least on par with the Series S, maybe slightly below, and that's still probably the case. But the fact that it's coming out the GTA 6 is coming out on the Series S and not the Switch 2, at least not announced yet. Excuse me for smacking and moving my microphone. There we go. There it is. My microphone boom arm has been doing that ever since the reaction video. New Hyrule Wars game was announced. My boom arm has been doing that constantly. I'll probably put a pinned card right here so you can check that video out and see why my mic arm's doing that now. I kind of broke it. Anyway, it's hard to pinpoint where the Switch 2 falls in the landscape of modern consoles. It's seemingly below the Series S, which is fine, because obviously you can't take your Series S on the toilet. It's kind of a big thing you can do with the Switch 2. It's pretty nice. You can take your Switch 2 on an airplane. You can take it around the house. You can take it to the doctor's appointment in the waiting room. You can't do that with Series S. And that's something to factor in that a lot of people don't like to factor in because they want to have their narrative of what their favorite console is. Mine's better because I like it more. The Switch 2 has benefits and detractions as far as any other consoles on the market does. But it is very interesting to see that it's not coming out on Switch 2. GTA 6 is not coming out on Switch 2. That's very interesting. Hit that topic. We're moving on to a few other topics. We got a different format this week because Drip's not here, so I'm changing up the format a little bit because he's not here. Speaking of Geeker One, last week I noticed something big. Monster Hunter Worlds looks like garbage on Switch 2. Now, it's not an official title, of course. It has not even been announced for Switch 2 yet. In fact, it probably will never be announced, which is very disappointing because that's something I was looking forward to. But based off of, now there's just a simulation, of course. If you watched last week's video, you know that Geeker One's simulation Switch 2 was just a simulation, but a pretty accurate one because he was able to replicate it because he has the actual motherboard. But Monster Hunter Worlds is probably not going to run the Switch 2 based off what we saw in his video. It probably just doesn't have the power, number one. That game is very intensive. It struggles on the PS5, and even some mid-range PCs are struggling with Monster Hunter Worlds. So I'm not surprised to see that game's probably not going to come out to Switch 2. But it's really not a matter of power. It's really just kind of a lack of optimization, which is pretty disappointing. And that's why mid-range PCs are struggling with Monster Hunter Worlds, because optimization. If Capcom's able to pull off some miracle and for some reason only really optimize the most for Switch 2 and not any other platform, then maybe we could see this game come out on Switch 2. But my thoughts are doubtful on that. I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. Hopefully in 3-4 years, crossing our fingers, that the Super Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, because that should be a thing. Remember I talked about last week's video. If you didn't check it out. But yeah, we think that based off of what we saw from Geeker One's video, we kind of have to see a Switch Pro this generation, or in this case, it'd be we're calling it the Super Nintendo Switch 2, because it just makes sense to get the Switch 2, the Super Nintendo Switch 2. So we kind of need one this generation. It's not optional. They can't just fudge it like they did last generation with the Switch 1. They really need a Switch 2. And that's not to say the Switch 2 is going to be underpowered from the start here. We're going to have a great time with the Switch 2 from launch up for a few years after. We're going to be just fine playing as many games as we need to. A few exceptions here and there, like probably GTA 6, Monster Hunter World. Bummer but again, you're taking it on the toilet with you. Don't forget, that's a really nice thing. You have to sacrifice some things to be able to do that. And I'm willing to sacrifice some of those things, especially because I'm a multi-console guy. I do have a PS5 in the back. I got a PC if I need to play a game there. And the Switch 2 is the hybrid system, which is great to have. Doesn't have to be my all-in-one, but if it is your all-in-one, that is something to consider. It's still gonna struggle in the first few years with the big AAA, big games. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind about the Switch 2. Hopefully Capcom can really optimize the thing. And next thing on the docket here, next topic is game key cards. This has been a controversial thing. I've been outspoken about my hatred of game key cards, but it seems, and I've not defended Nintendo, but I kind of have about this topic, because I was saying how it's on the third parties. The third parties, it's up to them to get get a full cartridge, put their game on a full cartridge. Nintendo's not forcing anybody. That's what I've been saying. Nintendo's not forcing anybody to put their games on a game key card. Well, we have some news here. This is obviously nothing is confirmed here. This is speculation based off of research I've done, but apparently Nintendo has been giving AAA's to, or anybody that for the matter is anybody wants to put a game on the Switch to physically, they're giving them two options. Either they can use a game key card, and obviously a lot of retailers, a lot of game companies have been doing that, a lot of publishers, or you have a 64 gig cartridge. And there's your two options. That's the rumor has it, that's the two options that Nintendo is giving game companies. That's actually really disappointing to hear, because that is basically Nintendo forcing the hand of most game developers to go with a game key card, even if your game is small. Let's look at it like this. You're a game company. You're an indie company, even. Your game is less than a gigabyte big. Your game's going to cost $20. Are you really going to invest in a 64 gigabyte cartridge, which we don't know the exact pricing of this yet, especially in Nintendo's price, because they get them stuff in bulk. And this generation's storage is more expensive than last generation. So a 64 gigabyte cartridge this generation is not equal to last generation's 64 gigabyte cartridge. In fact, I don't think that was even an option last generation. But I digress. The storage is more expensive this generation. So let's just assume it's like, 10%. I don't know, like $20. That's probably really high. It's probably too much. Well, let's just say $20 and that's the cost that the game developer has to up the front themselves, the cost they have to eat, and then decide what they pass on to the consumer. If your indie game is going to cost $20 and you want to put on the cartridge physically, and you don't want a game key card, which some companies might do that, they're probably going to charge more for their games, twice as much even. If it's a $20 game, that game might be now $40 or $50. Or they might go with the game key card. And I think most companies are going to go with the game key card. And that is basically Nintendo giving the companies an incentive to use game key cards and avoid putting their games on cartridges. That's basically what we're looking at. And I know how I feel about that. It's not that I don't know how I feel about it. I do know. I hate it. And I think it's safe to say now, assuming if we can get confirmation on this information, that Nintendo is to blame for game key cards. I can admit that I'm wrong here, and I was wrong, and that Nintendo is to blame for this. If that's what they're doing, if they're only giving these companies two different options, game key card or 64 gigabyte cartridge, which is way more expensive than a lot of companies can afford for their profit margins to actually make a profit on their game, that is a problem. That's a problem, and it's very anti-consumer of Nintendo. I do not appreciate that. It's pretty silly that's they must have just got a great deal on a ton of 64 gigabyte storage carts, and just decided, you know what, let's go this route for this generation. We're gonna try to save some money because tariffs are looming, or not. I don't know. I'm having a hard time keeping up the news lately. It seems like they're back off again, 30%. I don't even know anymore. But either way, that's the thing. It's unknown. So they're trying to, cover their ass. They're trying to make up money in places where they can, and that might be one place, is just go with one option that they got a good deal on instead of trying to buy multiple different, storage tiers. Excuse me. Yeah, that's disappointing news from Nintendo. Hopefully we see something change in that regard. I doubt it. I think this is what it is this generation. And I am even more solidified in my choice of being all digital this generation. I have no interest in participating in game key cards at all. Their very existence is basically anti-consumer Nintendo. I would prefer a code in the box than a game key card, because you may say, well, collectors will have a cartridge and we like that. Okay, if the cartridge, if the only thing you're looking for is the cartridge, that's your prerogative. Feel free. I'm not stopping you. But my prerogative is just a collector. I just want to collect something. And honestly, in this generation, last two generations for the Switch and Switch 2, the box has been more interesting than the cartridge. The cartridge is just this, I wish I had one. It's just this little tiny thing. It's nothing. It's really, you don't display those. There's nothing to display. The box is what you display. And as a collector, if you're not going to give me the game, if the option is no game digitally or no game physically, why would you want no game physically? It just seems like you're adding a hindrance to yourself for no gain at all. I'd rather go no game, digitally, and just get the game digitally. I don't want to deal with any, and then I don't got to worry about popping a cartridge in my Switch. I don't got to worry about grabbing my cartridge, cases before I leave or whatever I have to store my cartridges. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about it, and that's great. It's not that I want an all digital world. It's they're forcing my hand because I don't want a game key card. Because all that is doing for you as a consumer is adding an extra layer of annoyance to having to put your cartridge in every time you want to play your game. And the benefit usually is, well, that's the game. You have the game physically. You can do whatever you want with it. And that's not the case anymore. There's no game on that thing. It's a key. It's like saying I have a key to the house. You know, that's great. That's all I want. Well, no, you want the house. If someone just gives you a key that leads to nowhere, that's not really useful now, is it? You need the key to actually lead you somewhere. I would like a roof to sleep in with this key, but no, it's just a key. Now, you may say, well, I do get to play the game still. Sure, you do get to play the game still, but, you know, what's the benefit? Well, the benefit, Jeeb, is to, you know, you can sell your games. You can give your games to your friends to play and try out and borrow, you know, trade. Yeah, that is true. I've never denied that fact. I've never denied that you can sell your game key cards. You can, you know, lend your game key cards. You can rent. Some people still do that in this day and age. Guys, just wait for a sale. Never rent a game. Not anymore. The business is not good anymore. You just wait for a sale. Your game's going to be on sale. Just buy it. Just wait for a sale and buy it. Don't buy it early. Don't rent it to get it earlier than you need to. You know, like if you try, the prerogative is to save money, which renting usually means to save money. Just wait for a sale. The games are going to be on sale. They're always on sale. And Nintendo games aren't on sale. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Stop lying. Yeah, game key cards. They suck. Anti-consumer. I hate them. Yes, I acknowledge out there. I know you're Jeeb. We can sell them. Yes, you can. You can sell them. That's correct. Kudos. Feel free. Buy them if you want. I'm just saying, for me, from a collector standpoint, I'd rather have the box than the game key card. And I'd rather have a digital code, because that way I have the benefit of digital, which is the convenience of digital. And I also have the benefit of collecting and have that box to put on my shelf back there, which I do enjoy. You can't see them right now. They're slightly above where you can see, but they're there. And I like to have my boxes out. They're very pretty. I like them. Yeah. And the last thing, well, actually, I might just show this outright to you guys here on the screen, although I probably put some B-roll up. Sorry for my bright ass fucking monitor here. But let's show you here. This is something interesting that we saw. You can use mouse controls on the Switch 2 home menu. That is actually quite fascinating. And we get to listen to the sights and the sounds as well, this low bit res video. But as you can see, oh, that's actually way too loud. Sorry about that for if I put this on the audio platform, sorry. But yeah, so it's actually pretty cool. You can use the Switch 2 in mouse mode in the home menu, which I think of course you could do that. I feel like that's pretty obvious that was going to be a thing. But now that it's been confirmed via the Nintendo app, whatever they call that app, the new app they have. Yeah, pretty cool. You can use that, and you can navigate the mouse mode. You can still use, they're showing here, you can still obviously use the mouse mode in, you know, or you can pick up the mouse mode and use it like a controller still, but it's pretty neat. Now, I do think that the clicker on screen is a little weird. Like, I wish it was like more fun, Nintendo fun. I think the Wii had like a finger, like a hand and a finger, you know, which was more fun. They went with more business, you know, here, where it's just like a mouse clicker, what it normally looks like on your screen for a Windows PC or a Mac or something. But yeah, pretty neat to see that mouse mode is a thing on the home menu. I don't think a lot of us were expecting that, although we should have expected that. It's kind of obvious. But it's cool to see that it's there. So, yeah, that's this week's extra video. I appreciate you guys checking it out, watching, liking, and subscribing. Drip is not here, could not make it, but I figured the show must go on. Really appreciate you guys. We had such a big week last week. I just want to thank all of you guys out there for checking out the channel last week. If you're new here, leave a comment down below. Tell me that you're new. Last week I told you to write Cal. This week I'm telling you I'm new, and like a high five emoji or something. So something to that regard. I'll know it when I see it. Yeah, appreciate you new guys. I really do appreciate it. Really love the feed. Again, we got lots of good feedback as well from the show last week. Lots of bad feedback too. We're clickbait apparently. But you know what? If you don't understand, I can't make you understand. So that's on you, buddy. But anyway, really appreciate you guys checking out the video. All you new people, make sure you let me know that you're new and you're here and you watch the video. I appreciate it. And we're going to see you guys Wednesday, tomorrow, as far as the recording of this. We're going to see you guys tomorrow night, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every single week. Bon voyage, friends.
show.